Today I'm back with another sketchbook session. It hasn't been a very long time since I did my last one, but that doesn't really matter. If you didn't see the last one, this is where I basically just talk about stuff while I do some doodles. Completion isn't the point, and I'm not necessarily trying to accomplish anything. Just have some fun. So feel free to grab some snacks and hang out. I suppose I should start off by saying I hope everybody has had a good start to 2023. I know most certainly for me, these past few months have been much better than the first few days of the year, which I'm glad that trend did not continue. If you're curious about that, in the last video I did in this format, the last sketchbook session, I talked about that a little more in depth. I'll put a link in the description if you're curious. Over these past few months, I've actually had a couple of big important changes, or accomplishments in some manner. This first one I can't really talk about too much at this point in time, but I will later, at a later point in time, probably in like a couple months, I'll be going in depth into it. The second one that I have accomplished fairly recently, within the past couple of weeks as of recording, was I finished the first draft of a comic series that I've been working on for a long time. Hopefully, it's the project that I mentioned at the end of the engineer poly video. And I'm very excited. I'm hopefully gonna try and get it a publisher to pick it up and have it be a proper book. But yeah, I'm excited about it. Unfortunately, I can't give a name to the project just right at this point in time because the publisher is going to want to have a big hand, assuming I can get a publisher to want to publish it, in picking the title, and the name that I've been calling it in my head might not be what they want to end up calling it. So I'm gonna leave that there for now. What you see me doing now is creating a sketch of an Astra Militarum soldier, or more well known as the Imperial Guard. Yes, this is about 40k. Don't worry, I won't be going hard on the lore. I know that there's a lot, and I don't think I can cover it all in a single paint, and I'm not going to attempt it. I went ahead and made several copies of the Guardsmen after I finished the basic coloring. The basic coloring is a bit different from the colors used in the regular Acadian Regiment. They have more of a World War II era type color scheme, or I guess I should probably say more traditional type color military scheme. Those word sentences did not make sense. They have a type of color palette you'd expect for soldiers. I wanted to have my uniform colors be based on pre-World War I uniforms. That means bright colors that are very impractical and highly visible. But honestly, people run into battle with swords and hammers just as often as they do with proper guns, so I don't really think the world of 40k cares about practical. I wanted the cloth parts of the uniform to be a light blue with bits of red, mainly red on the trims of the uniform, cuffs of the sleeves, and inside of the coat. For the armored bits, I decided they would be a dark gray. I made the belts and bags white, mostly because there's a lot of uniforms that had these white strap belt things. Just look at like British uniforms from the American Revolution to kind of see what I'm talking about. I also wanted to add slightly different paint jobs depending on what unit the soldier is from. Yellow for basic infantry, green for artillery or heavy weapons, red for armored personnel, and gold for command squads. The way the paint will be applied is the same across all units, just different colors for simplicity's sake. I did some experimenting with what I wanted for this unit-specific paint to look like, and eventually found something I was happy with. The paint will be applied to the shoulders and knee pads. I was tempted to add some coloring to the chest plate and helmet, but these are eventually gonna be models, so I have to paint that, and I decided against it because their arms and guns kind of get in the way of their chest, and the helmet didn't really look too good. Oh right, this is the first time I've mentioned this, but I'm testing out a paint scheme for actual units that I plan on painting for the tabletop. I figured it would be best trying to draw something to make sure that I liked the colors I was planning on using before committing to an actual paint job. This all started because I got the Cadia Stands Army box back in December, but have been unsure about how I wanted to paint it, so I figured I would try and make a video out of my experimentation. Overall, I'm happy with what I came up with for the individuals, so I started to do a more complicated drawing so I could see if I liked the paint scheme outside of a static pose. I also wanted to test some things that I learned about composition, and see the results. And for something that was supposed to be a relaxing drawing, I kind of went hard. I knew I wanted some basic infantry to be in front of the shot and had them running out of a ruined building. Walking around behind the building, I put an armored sentinel. Honestly, it reminds me of an AT-ST, which is an Imperial walker from Star Wars. Except instead of firing lasers, it spews plasma and has a large chainsaw attached to it. For the background, I tried to hint at a city, or at least other ruined buildings, and had a smoke trail rising into an orange sky. I really liked how the coloring came out of the guardsman, but I'm not too sure about the sentinel. I'll probably have to go back to the drawing board on that one. Oh well, it's not like I have a tank designed to paint. I have to come up with a design for tanks as well. But that doesn't matter right now because I'm not trying to accomplish that in this video. I'll figure that out at some other point in time. These drawings actually took a lot longer than what I was expecting they were going to, mainly because there is so much detail on a lot of these models. Luckily, I had models in front of me to be able to visually look at them, but like, for example, Sentinels, there's just so much detail packed in them, and it took a lot longer than what I thought it was going to, which is fine. I think 40K is a fun way to tell stories, and my army is no exception. I actually have two, a Tau army and the Astra Militarum army that you see me working on today. The custom Tau sept I use isn't actually named yet, and neither are my Imperial Guard. I do know that they are engaged on multiple fronts along the border of the Tau's 5th expansion. I don't know what kinds of worlds they're fighting over. One is probably a hive world, and who knows, maybe some agricultural worlds and manufacturing worlds? It doesn't matter. I can decide on that later when I play games with my friends. They of course don't only fight each other. Who knows what other factions will appear, such as the Eldari, Necrons, or Orc. 'Cause, you know, nothing can just be simple, they gotta involve themselves eventually. When I play the actual game, we try and come up with the reason for our armies to be where they are, and what they're fighting to achieve. As the match unfolds, that tells the story. I won't be naming planets or factions or telling tales of battles here. That seems a bit much for what this video is, and I also haven't had the opportunity to play a huge amount of games, so there's not very many tales to tell. Perhaps I'll make a concept corner in the future, fleshing out both armies and telling some tales of their glorious victories and heroic defeats. I assume heroic defeats is how 40K would claim it. I think that's what the propaganda tells me, but I do have to play a few games before I can actually do that. Anyway, thanks for joining me while I try and get some ideas thrown on paper, or I guess a model. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know down in the comments below if you did. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more speed paints. See you next time. Bye.